to Griffin Eye News. I am your guest host, Gwen, for this evening. And joining me is the very whimsical and woeful Scald, the Strife Maker. Hello, darling.
Hi, Gwen. You're looking lovely.
Well, thank you. It is good to see you as always.
It's good to see you with a warm glow in your smile and in your face, and just about your whole being, really.
Oh, whimsical. Definitely whimsical. Fanciful, even. Awesome. One of our guests, I am so excited for this lady to join us. She has also been through all sorts of phases of the SCA, and I suspect is capable and probably complicit in her own share of whimsy.
Oh?
Oh, yes. We have, for the most part, enjoyed some very fine wine together, and I am very familiar with her whimsy. So.
And mead.
And mead. Oh,
I like mead.
She does amazing things. We, of course, are talking about Mistress Coryn of the Wode. And she'll be joining us, hopefully. Ooh.
Momentarily?
Momentarily. Here she comes.
Yay!
Yay! Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's lovely to see you. We're going to jump right in, as is our wont. So how long have you been playing in the SCA?
I started playing in 99, so that's getting on to 22 years.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get started in the SCA?
My kids made me do it. I knew about the SCA for about 10 years because my kids were playing.
Right.
And they started because my oldest went to university in 89 and she saw a demo and she was hooked. And then the next one in line, which the oldest one is Raven, Dexter. And then the next one in line is Derek, or Halty. And he was in there right away too. And then the youngest one, Jody, was just itching to get in there. She's only 15. And I said, oh, take it easy, wait a little while. But yeah, she didn't listen well.
Children, that's a thing.
So
sure.
then I got started about 10 years later because I realized that they were having way too much fun and I wanted to be part of it too.
Perfect.
Fair.
It is a little bit like that. You just see them all having the fun and you're like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I hear tell that there's also some connection to your children with how you got your name.
Oh, well, long before I got involved with the SCA, I'd go for walks with my dog into the river valley close by, and I'd come back looking like I'd been climbing trees or something. And they called me the crazy lady of the woods, and that's kind of where it came from.
Where that came
I
from?
wanted a name that was close to my own, so Coryn is actually a man's name.
Oh.
But that's okay. As a merchant, I don't mind having a man's name. It sometimes gives me a little bit extra clout.
Yep, absolutely.
So one of the things you're famous for in Borealis, Avacal, and throughout the known world is your mead. How did you get started brewing and distilling?
I started brewing wines, fruit wines, back in '94 because I had too much fruit on my hands, and I thought brewing might be a good thing. And my sister had been brewing, so I learned the craft from her. And then once I got into the SCA, it was a small matter to make a step into doing mead.
Mm-hmm. As a fan, big fan, longtime fan, I'm very happy you made that decision. I am actually a fan of all of the things you do. One of my very first pieces of garb came from your shop on Merchants Row. So what attracted you to making garb?
Again, my children did it. They were playing, they needed garb. Mom, can you make? So Mom started making garb, and then they had friends who also needed garb. And next thing you know, I had a bit of a collection of stuff. So I started I think I started selling, first time I sold stuff was at Quad War,
Mhm.
probably 19, 20 years ago.
Oh.
20 years ago, easily.
So speaking of Quad War, there's a sign on the Quad War site pointing out that you have the very first building on Merchants Row. How did that come to be that you were the very first person to have a permanent structure?
The landowner, Alfheim, had asked people if they wanted to use some of the granaries he had there.
Mm.
And you may have seen some of the granaries are still in use. So he said we could have a granary if we fix it up nice and use it. And we kind of looked at it and smelled it and said, you know what? We have a friend who can build us a structure and we have the money to put into it. So that was fine. We built, I believe it's going on to, we built in the fall. I think this fall it'll be 18 years ago that we built. And then the following spring, my daughter built a cabin beside us. Dexter and Yolar from the coffee shop.
Okay.
So, and yeah, we kind of set the standard, and Alfheim said that we did a good job setting the standard. So from there on, everybody else just kind of copied the general idea.
Well, and speaking of setting the standard, it's one of your other claims to fame on the Quad site. You have the best bathrooms in all of Quad.
Agreed.
They are, you know, always preferred with reading material and brightly lit. And
Mirrors.
Yeah.
Well,
Was that just part of the shop, or did you that was you were asked to do that?
I was never asked to do that, but if I'm going to have a biffy, I want it to be a comfortable biffy. It should have reading material. Duh.
If you're gonna spend time there, you may as well spend quality time there.
I also was the first one who had not the box seat, but the cone. And, you know, hey, I like my comfort.
Fair?
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you're doing your brewing, we're going back to mead because it is, after all,
yes.
one of my favorites. What are some of the challenges that you come across when you're in the process of brewing?
The fact that it takes a long time. I don't know when I start brewing what I'm going to be needing 2 years down the road.
Right.
And especially if I want to enter it in a competition, I want to have something that I haven't done before.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make a mistake with it, it takes a while before you catch up to and redo the mistake. It's not like ripping out a seam.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So, but having said that, the other disadvantage of brewing as a craft is that what you've done disappears.
Yes.
You can't show it off later and say, hey, you know, this is what I've made. It goes. And I very much enjoy sharing it with friends, so I'm not complaining about that, but it is a difficulty.
Mm-hmm. For sure it would be.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the rewards that come with that part, giving it away? And
giving it away, I give it away for largesse. I share it with people, both giving it away to people to enjoy at their encampments or at a feast. I sometimes have an opportunity to use it to gift it to people who have contributed to the feast in other ways, or you know, who just have done things for me that I say, hey, can I share this with you? And usually people are pretty good about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
it always makes you welcome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And it's delicious, so that helps too. So has your craft been able to help you in the mundane world as well?
Not really. The thing is, I already had done a lot of things before I got into the SCA. I was already well into my 50s when I started playing. So I already had learned a lot of things in the mundane world, which transferred very easily.
Nice.
And I would recommend that anybody who is thinking they're too old to play, they're not, because older people come with a lot of skills that they pick up that transfer well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it sounds like you were able to transfer your mundane life into the SCA as opposed to the other way around. That's
Mostly,
wonderful.
yes.
So a little bit ago there, Coryn, you and I were at a rather famous Estrella War down in Aitenveld, where we were flooded out. And I also understand you were at another Estrella War that was flooded out.
Oh,
And,
oh.
and that there was something about your cast iron pots floating across the site and an adventure to retrieve them. Do you only go to the desert to bring torrential rain, or is that just a coincidence?
I have been to Estrella wars that were beautifully warm and dry. So I don't think I'm guilty of bringing the deluge. But yes, it is true. My first visit to Estrella War, which is still at the Estrella Mountain Campground way back, I happened to be camped in an area where a flash flood came through.
Oh my gosh.
And I had had a lot to drink that evening, and I was in my sleeping bag, and I was sleeping away, and the flood came through, and the bottom of the tent was completely waterproof. So the tent pegs came loose, and I was holding the tent down in the middle, but the only reason it didn't float away is because I was lying in there sleeping. But my daughter, Wode, was quite distressed when she came back. And, Mom, are you in there? Mom, are you all right? You know, Mom, say something. I'm sleeping. I was totally dry, but it was quite dramatic, actually.
I suspect.
And
I now have mental pictures of you in this tent just floating away and you sleeping very peacefully.
The Rubbermaid bin with all the pots and pans in it floated away. We didn't find it until we were packing up and we went to the Lost and Found to ask about it.
Wow.
It was an adventure.
Yes, that is exactly how one would hope to refer to it. Living in a major barony like you do, how has that shaped your SCA journey?
I think that I'm very privileged to be living in a fair-sized barony. I think people who live in the smaller shires, they have to work so much harder to make the SCA happen. Like when you live in a larger group, you can choose which things you want to do. Right. When you live in a group where there's only, 15, 20 people playing, you got to be able to do everything. And that really makes it much harder to excel in any one area. You have to be a jack of all trades. So I'm very fortunate to have been able to learn from many, many people here. And I've been able to travel, which also has allowed me to learn so many things from so many people.
Fabulous.
So for the last year and a bit now, the SCA has been virtual and the ESDA has taken the place of the regular events and the like. Are there any aspects of the electronic SCA that you would like to see continue once events and in-person meetings happen again?
It's nice to be able to take classes anywhere across the known world.
Absolutely.
And if there's some way that classes can be made available to people who can't be there in person, that'd be wonderful. But nothing beats the in-person experience.
Of course.
Even though I'm enjoying this very much, I really appreciate you setting this up. I'd rather be sitting down somewhere.
I agree. I thoroughly agree. Absolutely. So if someone brand new wanted to get, so this is going to be a two-part question. So if someone brand new wanted to get started in the SCA in general, what would you recommend to them?
Well, actually, I have a friend who, actually have a couple of friends who were thinking of going to last year's Winter War as their very first event, and they were all psyched up about it. And they haven't been to an event yet. So I've been trying to explain to them that, you know, what they can do, but it's not the same.
It's not, no,
No.
for sure.
It just isn't. I look forward to when I can bring them to a real event.
Absolutely.
But I guess newcomers classes and things like that are better than nothing.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. So then if someone brand new was going to start brewing, what would you recommend for that?
I would say get hold of me. Probably the easiest way is on Messenger, and I'll talk you through it. Or come over and I can show you what the result might be, and that might whet your appetite for learning how to do it. I am thinking of doing some very quick brewing of mead at the next quad war that we have.
Oh,
Do it right on site, because what the Vikings used for mead was not fully fermented and aged.
Right.
It was a quick job.
Mhm.
And that you could do if you started it on the first day of quad war, then 3 days later, you'd have something alcoholic
Wow.
and drinkable.
Okay.
So,
I'm
That'll be
excited.
interesting.
oh
Something
yes, I'm
forward to.
looking forward to doing that with everybody.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of this, we referenced that you are a peer of the realm, and so what was it like getting your peerage from one of Ontier's dreamiest kings ever and current Duke Dreamy, Styrkar Jarlskald? How was that?
It was very interesting because I had already been up to the front during court. That was the court in Mergenwood. I'd already been called up for a couple of different things, minor things. And so I'd been close to the king and queen, both of whom are awesome. And I was just busy packing up my shop, and then I got called up again, and I didn't have a clue what it was about. And as I kneeled in front of there, His Majesty says to me, "So, are you having a good day?" Yes. Well, maybe it's going to get even better.
Ooh,
And then from there on, so I was rather blown off my feet.
that's awesome.
And it was horrible weather at the time.
Oh no.
And I remember driving driving back into Saskatoon. I was in Warburg.
Okay.
It's just a little ways out, I believe.
Yep.
And I remember driving back into Saskatoon and thinking, well, this would be just my day. I get put on vigil and I'll spend the rest of the night in the ditch here somewhere.
Oh no.
But no, it was very, very nice.
That's fantastic. Well, since you are Pelican, do you have people in service to you?
Yes, I have two proteges. One is Alice Percy from Montagnard, and the other one is Philippa from Vineyard.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
Both
So
of them wonderful people. They do me proud.
Lovely.
So as a Pelican, or even before you were a Pelican, have you ever held an office on any level, baronial, kingdom, shire, anything like that?
I've been baronial seneschal twice. I had a minor office at the Avacal level, but I prefer to work at the baronial level. I've also been the ANS officer, and I've done Gold Key a couple of times. So yeah, I've done a bit.
Always helping. Yep, absolutely. You have a lot of family in the SCA. How has that added to your experience?
That's wonderful. I don't get all my grandchildren out at Quad War, but I usually have 6 or 7
Mhm.
grandchildren out there, so that is quite wonderful. And having my own children there too, dropping in for coffee or, late night snack, or for one of them seems to show up regularly for breakfast, especially for bacon. I'll let you guess what that is. Yeah, no, it's really nice. It's lovely to have a hobby that you can share with the kids and grandkids.
So as a member who's been around for a while, what changes have you seen in the SCA since you began 20 some odd years ago?
Almost all of it is related to electronics.
Oh.
First time I was baronial seneschal, everything was done with email, but I was part of the changeover from when we were still Vatnsdaler, and we wanted to go back to becoming Borealis again, and we were a shire, and we wanted to go back to becoming a barony. I had to do that. That was all done by email.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's the way it was done back then.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, a lot of things are much easier. Is for those who are not too adept with electronics, like I think for a lot of the older players, it's actually become more difficult. But we make do, we adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any favorite moments or memories that you'd like to share?
I can think of several places I've been to where it was just so lovely. Like when you're at a camping event and you're in your tent and drifting off to sleep to the sound of bardic over there singing away, and yeah, it's just wonderful. The whole camping experience, I still enjoy it very much, and I hope I can still keep enjoying it for a few more years.
Yes.
It's yeah, I don't know. It's just all good, happy memories.
Collective happiness is hard to sift through sometimes to find those specific ones. And that's saying a lot for the SCA, that after 22 years, it's just a blur of happy. That's a
good thing.
resounding good.
Yeah, I think
call.
so.
Yeah.
Mind you, I have very good filters for getting rid of the unhappy stuff.
Well, there we go. Perfect. Any final comments, any information or thoughts that you'd like to share with the Griffin Eye News audience and the known world?
Just that if you want to play, start playing sooner rather than later. Give it a try and jump in with everything you've got, because there's so many different aspects of the SCA that are just so fun. Everybody's got to be able to find a niche somewhere that they fit in. So go do it.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was lovely, as always, to see you. I can hardly wait to see you in person. Thank you, Scald, for being your wonderful self, as always.
I'm just waiting for some more mead because my stocks are depleted, and I need some, especially
Terribly
Borealis
sad.
mead.
Next time I'm in Montagnard, I'll have to look you up and drop some off.
Even better, he's in Mergenwood now.
I'm in Mergenwood. So
Mergenwood. Oh, even better. I'll be in Mergenwood before too long, probably.
Yay!
Yahoo.
That means you're closer to me too. All right. Now that we've got plotting to do, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you again for joining us. That is it.
Thank you for
Griffin Eye
hosting.
News tonight, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.